Murphy, Schiller & Wilks is formed with a simple purpose in mind, serving as a one-stop shop for the legal needs of developers, lenders, and others in the commercial real estate industry. Based in Newark, the firm's attorneys represent clients in the most complex real estate transactions and land development proceedings, as well as property taxation, environmental and real estate litigation matters, and in the acquisition, sale, and leasing of all real estate asset types throughout the country. Their attorneys have broad private and public sector experience coming from top national law firms and high-level governmental positions. Through the development of individualized client-focused strategies, their team works tirelessly to create a blueprint for success and advance their clients' interests in every matter. To learn more, head to murphyllp.com or give them a call at 973-877-6984.
Driving on this road feels like forever.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm your host, Mike Ham. We are here in Lebanon, New Jersey at Metropolitan Seafood with the Funky Fishmonger, Mark Drabich. Mark, welcome to the show.
It's a pleasure, Mike. Thanks for coming out to the country today.
Yeah, coming out to the country.
Well, I mean, we opened 34 years ago.
Yeah.
And people always ask me all the time, why are you out here?
Right.
And the simple answer is, when I got married, I opened the store the same year I got married.
Okay.
A
lot of things going on that year.
Yeah. Well, I said to my wife, I want to live in Hunterdon County.
Yeah.
And I actually went to college, graduated, and I was working for Johnson & Johnson, and realized I hated it. And just to show you how little they knew about you, when I said to them, I'm going to go into the fish business, and they're like, tropical fish? And I'm not even joking. They're like, yeah, like
sure. Yeah.
Angels,
Clowns.
Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
And so, but I've been cutting fish since I'm 15 years old.
Okay.
Worked in a fish market in my neighborhood where I grew up. And like I said, we just came out here and there was a hard nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, when I opened up, in 1988, I remember my wife one time said on the way, let's make paella tonight. So I, of course, had all the fish ingredients and, but back then, it was easier to get an 8-ball of Coke than find saffron. I mean, saffron was just non-existent out here.
Yeah.
And that was,
Right.
And one of the reasons why we named it Metropolitan Seafood was that, and this is no diss to anyone. Whenever you say the country butcher or it always denotes for me a limit on what, as Metropolitan, I just want you to be able to get whatever you want.
Right.
And, so that's, again, we started in 1988. I was thankfully too stupid to realize that I couldn't fail or could fail.
Right.
And like I said, it's brilliant. I tell a lot of young bloods today, I go, start when you're just dumb enough to realize that failure is an option or not an option.
Right. By the time you get older, you've probably failed quite a bit.
But
and if you haven't tried anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's getting up.
Right.
It's not, you're going to fall.
Yeah, for sure.
Just get up and dust as hard as you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But,
absolutely. Yeah. All right. So I do want to learn a little bit about you.
Yeah.
So you mentioned the neighborhood you grew up in. What was that?
I grew up in Jersey, in Hillsborough.
So you're a Jersey guy.
Yep. Jersey, born and raised.
Yeah.
Greetings from the Garden State. And I'll probably say goodbye from my grave from the Garden State.
Yeah.
But the fish market opened in my neighborhood, and it was in walking distance, and I got the job, and not that it was a big deal, but
you said you were 15 when you got that job, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So growing up, I was the first to graduate from college in my family. So getting a job and I hated asking for money.
Right.
So I loved having money in my hands. So anyway, I go to work at this fish market, and it turned out that the gentleman that owned it was partners with another gentleman, and the original, it was called the Lobster Dock. The original owners, his partner was Jordan's Lobster Dock in Brooklyn.
Okay.
So did that all through high school, all my breaks in college, and so on and so forth. And then wherever I was, I could get a job anywhere.
Yeah.
Like even when I went to college, I'd walk into a place and say, I'm a cutter. And that was a common thing back then, because everyone had cutters.
Yeah.
They don't have that now.
Right.
We have that, but that's another story. And just be able to get a job. And wholesale, whatever. I was in the New York market. I worked at a place in Trenton. I was in the Trenton market. The Trenton market no longer exists, but the Fulton Fish Market, as you well know, it exists. And then when I was in college, the fish market that I worked at, my brother and sister worked at, and they wound up buying that fish market.
Okay.
And they had it for 26 years. And as I got out of college and, they had the store. And then, like I said, I was with beautiful Johnson & Johnson. My mother, who was born and raised in New Brunswick, it was the Vatican to her.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, but I just didn't care for it.
Yeah.
And so 2.5 years, I did well, made all my bonuses as a salesman. I worked for the McNeil division when Tylenol was on the recall.
Oh.
So that was very exciting.
Right.
So it's nice being you're in a $125 suit and you're pulling Tylenol off the shelves like a maniac and selling them out of the back of your truck. But that's another story. But then when I went back into it, it felt so great. And like I said, when you're 23 years old and you open a business, it's amazing what you think you know.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant.
And so this spot was where...
No.
Okay.
No. My
right.
first store was 450 square feet.
Okay.
So when you
tiny, like a studio apartment.
So
basically.
the space that you walked into here is just shy of, from the back room, about just shy of 5,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So my first store was as a matter of fact, I had a customer that had a bigger walk-in box than mine. And I remember saying, God damn it, we got to move this goddamn store. So we were there for 5 years, and then we moved across the street. We started in Clinton.
Okay.
We moved across the street. We picked up 1,000 square feet. Then there was a pet store next to us that went out of business. We picked up another 500 square feet. Then we took all our coolers, and we moved them outside to pick up another 500 square feet. And we were in Clinton for a total of 23 years.
Oh, wow.
And probably stayed there 8 years, too long.
Yeah.
But if you remember how you drove up here, that corner, I was at that light one day 4 years before we came here.
Right.
And I said, shit, that would be a good location. And I really had that mystical buzz that comes over you, and it happens to everybody. No one wants to admit it, but I'm big enough that I don't really give a shit.
Yeah.
But oh, Mark, you're you're reading Rhonda Byrne again? Yeah, caught me. But anyway, and
it fits the vibe. I feel like,
and it literally, and then we moved here, and then it gets better. The owner of the property goes bankrupt. He was my landlord. And my general contractor goes bankrupt in between. Yeah. And so now we're in limbo. And I remember saying to my attorney, I would literally go home every night, sequester myself in my room. And I don't know if you know my friend, Johnny Walker.
Oh, yeah.
He would come with me every night. He's a dear friend of mine. Yeah. And he got me through a lot. He got me through a lot of tough snow.
So crazy. He's just everybody's friend.
I know. Like. But he's a good listener.
He is.
And he never judges me for crying, which I love that about him. But truthfully, so we're going through this, and I swear to God, God rest his soul, I remember my mother saying, Mark, we're Lebanese. You're moving to Lebanon, New Jersey. It's going to work out. Right. And and it washed over me. Yeah. And fast forward, we had a couple of landlords, and, then we started doing this. Here's the great part about opening when I opened. When you open a business today, you must come to the table with a fully formulated, digested product. Oh, yeah. Okay? If not, you just get murdered. And I'm sorry, and I'm not saying that to be mean, but people will just tear you apart. Yeah. I mean, every time someone opens a place and calls it a steakhouse, I pee a little in my pants. Because when you say the word steakhouse, you must come to the table with a bravado that is it just should knock everyone over. So that being said, when we first opened, all we had was fish, or let's just say seafood. Sure. Lemons, which we've given away for 34 years. I've never sold a lemon in the store. Cocktail sauce, tartar sauce, horseradish. And as people would ask for things, we would just make it. Yeah. I mean, guy goes, do you ever make fish cakes? I'm like, yeah, all the time. Didn't. Called a friend up who was a chef. Hey, you have a fish cake recipe? Yeah, my mother used to. And we made it. Matter of fact, the first guy, I'll never forget when I made him fish cakes, they were 50 cents. And he goes, that's too expensive. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I didn't realize. But anyway, and we continued on, crab cakes. And so our official name today is Metropolitan Seafood and Gourmet.
Yeah.
When we moved here, we extended it, and we just were able to, very luckily, rebrand the store every 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Like even our 13 years here.
Right.
Like when you walked in the store, all those aisles of imported pastas and salts and olive oils and that wasn't there when we opened. We just kept adding things. Then we rebrand again. The brewery comes next door.
Right.
So now people are taking our takeout and they're getting loaded on beautiful beer. And, this past Saturday, we had a $1 oyster promotion.
Well, I did a $1 oyster promotion maybe like a month ago.
Yeah.
My girlfriend and I came. I actually called in the order.
Oh, okay.
You answered the phone.
Oh, okay.
And you didn't know who I was at that point.
Okay.
So I called in. I'm like, are you
Was I
Funky?
nice?
Yeah, you were great. Yeah, I was like, are you the Funky Fishmonger? And you're like, yeah, I can't hide my voice. And I was like, no.
Right.
But it was like, it was so great because I was like, we want a dozen oysters and I think like a shrimp cocktail or something.
Right.
You're like, you're taking it over to the brewery? I was like, yeah. And you're like, all right, great. You'll be ready. Just come in.
Yeah.
Whatever. And
So,
I was like,
yeah.
it was fantastic.
So between 4 and 7, we did 2,000 oysters.
Yeah.
And
That's insane.
It's just insane. And and I love it. And people are just, and of course, listen, let's be honest, no one ever got full on a dozen oysters.
Right.
So you order something else.
We did come back.
Yeah, right. And and
we
you
got clam strips, a soft shell crab sandwich, and more oysters.
Yeah, and that's just our takeout.
We rolled ourselves out of here.
First and foremost, we are a premium fish market.
Right.
And that has been my mission statement. And a lot of times people always ask me, they're like, well, why don't you ever open a restaurant? Because when the space next door was available, and at that time we did purchase the property, people say, well, you have a restaurant. The problem is with a fish market restaurant, and you'll see, well, you've been in here.
Yeah.
The scope and the depth of the products we carry. There are plenty of fish market restaurants. If you have 6 feet of ice and you have you have 5 different fish on there, okay, you can call yourself a fish market.
Sure.
I can call myself an exotic dancer too, but no one's going to watch. You know what I mean? But
there's a space for everybody.
Right, exactly. No, listen. Luckily, Chubby's coming back. It is back, right?
I hope so.
But so you cannibalize your own sales.
Right.
I have clients that will get, for example, tuna steaks for dinner, and then they'll just grab, a sandwich for lunch.
Yeah.
But if you and I go out to lunch, we're not having dinner because we're going to go hard.
Right.
You know what I mean? Literally. When you sit down for lunch, I'm not talking about like a take. When you sit down for lunch, you don't order a plate of French fries the size of my head. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know what?
Right.
Yeah, and I will have dessert. And then whoever your significant other, you want to have something to eat? No, I had lunch. Maybe I'll have a Rice Krispie on at 8 o'clock or whatever, or Fruit Loops or whatever.
Right.
But the fish business is, Metropolitan Seafood. Like I said, we've been so lucky that, like for example, our clients let me buy everything.
Yeah.
Live langoustine. We import those from Norway and Scotland. If I want to bring in Greek sardines, if I want to bring in sea urchin, live sea urchin, not just the roe.
Right.
Whatever. Carabineros, the Spanish red shrimp. I mean, it doesn't matter. We sell items in our store that most high-end seafood restaurants sell.
Yeah.
But we're in the country.
Right.
So there's not a lot of options.
Well, even like we were talking about, I live in Morristown.
Yes.
Even out near there, it's hard to find a spot that is like a fish market, seafood market.
Right.
It's just they're not readily.
Well,
I remember growing up, I grew up in the Pequannock area, and then even up in Sparta, and we had Jerry's Seafood and this other seafood place.
I knew Jerry.
And then
I knew Jerry.
and then it just kind of they all kind of either disappeared or whatever, and then it.
Well, like I said, you could be better looking than me,
right?
And you could be smarter than me, but you're not outworking me,
right?
And my guys, my staff is amazing. We could bring in anything. Listen, the fact of the matter is the majority of seafood in this country is still eaten in restaurants. That's just a fact because people are very, very nervous about, oh my God, I'm cooking fish. No. Listen, it's much harder to make a perfect roast beef.
Yeah.
When's the last time that you had a roast beef that was beautiful, medium rare from stem to stern? And if it was,
a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a boar's head and it was made in some sort of factory, whatever.
Yeah.
But the point is, what's great about my business and the fish business in general is that we're the last food source on earth that's hunted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's fantastically ancient.
Right.
Jeff Bezos has not figured out how to contact Aquaman and you know, and have the fish jump. He's working on it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know that, but you know, Aquaman had a little problem with meth a while back. So, and listen, I hope, you know, pray. You know, I'm sending good intentions.
Yeah.
No judgment here. But that's really kind of like we play off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're so fortunate. I mean, really, I know it sounds corny as hell, and I don't care. Like that, people are willing to take a trip with us.
Yeah.
We brought in live bay scallops last couple of weeks, and you know, people, what do I do with them? I said, just steam them open like you would mussels or clams, a little bit of olive oil and garlic, and you know, some peppers in there, and their heads are just, and they feel chefy as all F.
Yeah.
I mean, like they really feel. I mean, hence the term. We'll talk about that later. But little chefs.
Right.
That was a term that when we first had the store, there was no newsletter.
Yeah.
It was the traditional retail situation. I sell fish. You know, please come buy my fish, whatever.
Yeah.
And not realizing. And by the way, when I was coming up, if I would have told you know, a customer, especially an older, you know, woman, how to cook something, she would have probably taken 2 fingers and cracked them across my face, and it might have chipped a tooth.
Right.
But today, people really want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, not just how the sausage is made, like by watching gourmet food shows, but they want to know, hey, how do I make it at home?
Yeah, especially like, you know, making it, cooking for friends, you know, because then you feel like, hey, look, I made scallops or whatever it is.
Right.
And like, who makes that for people?
And those proteins, those sexy proteins like salmon, scallops, shrimp, sword, tuna, with very little expertise, you can make it as grand as any Michelin star chef.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, Eric Rupert at La Bernardin will coax a piece of monkfish into an ethereal, you know, sensual beauty that I've never seen before. But it's tuna.
Right.
Sear it, make it rare, take a fork and knife, cut into it, you know, bite into it with like a bear. I don't care. You really can't make it bad.
Yeah.
You know, unless you're overcooking it or something like that. But that's the. I don't know if that answers the question of the story of the store. But
yeah. I mean, I think it's great.
You know, that's how we did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
And perfect timing, because we're going to take our first break of this episode. So that was great. But we're here in Lebanon, New Jersey at Metropolitan Seafood with Mark Drabich. I'm Mike Cam. We'll be right back. The Mayo Performing Arts Center is the heart of arts and entertainment in Morristown, New Jersey. MPAC presents over 200 events annually and is home to an innovative children's arts education program. To see MPAC's upcoming schedule of world-class concerts, stand-up comedy, family shows, and more, head to mayoarts.org or just click the link in our show notes. Bored of going to the same park? Want to try a new local adventure? Well, then check out njspots.com, your home for finding a new spot to discover right here in New Jersey. With dozens of maps to check out, local hiking spots, family-friendly places, and seasonal suggestions, NJ Spots is waiting for you to find somewhere new to explore. That's njspots.com. All right, we're back for segment 2 of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Cam. We're here in Lebanon, New Jersey at Metropolitan Seafood with Mark Drabich, the Funky Fishmonger. So first segment, we kind of learned a little bit about your background, the background of the business, starting out as a cutter in fish markets in like your home, Hillsborough, right?
Yep,
Is that what you said?
Exactly.
And then just opening up this place in different locations back in 88. So
our original location was only 4 miles down the road.
Right. Yeah. So general location. And then all the iterations that it's kind of gone through since then, which I do think is interesting, because you did say with like a business plan, like if you don't have a good baked out business plan now, it's like you get shredded. But then like how many iterations and flows that you've kind of gone through. But it has like a core.
The core, listen, the core is this. So when I opened, the only difference, if you had a fish market in 1988 and I had a fish market, the only difference between our fish would have been whose fish is fresher.
Right.
Like there wasn't the availability of fish that was enhanced through science.
Sure.
So, like, for example, you had New Bedford cod, I had New Bedford cod. And so fast forward to today, and people could watch my guys do it. We cut everything in the store.
Yeah.
There's a, and by the way, this is not what I want to preface this by saying, I'm not dissing any other organization. If you don't have a cutter and you need someone to cut for you in a restaurant or something, by all means, have it done. But in the fish market, like, for example, if you're in the fish market, fish business in the tri-state area, and you don't go to the Fulton Fish Market, then you're an accountant and you just couldn't pass the CPA. I mean, like, you really, so everything is brought in whole in the store and broken down here.
Right.
So, and what we're really trying to prevent is oxidation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and the whole idea of people thinking, well, it's got to be 3 days and I got to get rid of it. Well, I don't want my clients to play speed chess. Listen, today's Tuesday, I think, right? And if you say, listen, Mark, I'm not using this till Thursday, I say, listen, I don't care. Use it on Friday. Yeah. Are you serious? Yeah, don't worry. It was just cut 30 minutes ago. Right. Just keep it cold, assuming that you have refrigeration in the house and not an ice box. Just, again, just to look at that and to break everything down. Opening oysters, filleting fish, knowing how to split, knowing how to butterfly, knowing how to book fillet, all these different techniques that I used to do in the store. I don't do them anymore, but being able to pass it along. Listen, people have asked me what my proudest accomplishment is, and the truth of the matter is I've brought back, not single-handedly, but I've brought back the profession of a fishmonger. Right. I have men and women out there with families, and it's a job. It's a vocation, if you will. And listen, I tell people all the time. I say, lots of lawyers, lots of doctors, and I go, well, how many fishmongers do you know? And then I go give them. I go, me. You know me. Yeah. And I don't want to be anything else. That's why, like, it's I love going into a medical exam, and when the doctor occupation, I love writing fishmonger on there. Like, wait, what? And the guy goes, oh, what is that, like Old English? I'm like, yeah. Listen, the original fishmongers were the wives of the fishermen. Okay. That's why I wanted to be a fishmonger, because I would look good in a dress. Yeah. But the
scarf is a good touch.
Thank you. But truth be told, that fishing and selling fish is like raising sheep and selling wool suits. Yeah. I mean, I owe these incredibly brave men and women who hunt the waters of the world, that let me be a fishmonger. Yeah. And I know a lot of fishermen, and they are exactly what you think they are. They're stone cold pirates. Yeah. They're just tremendously delightful misfits that I can't get enough of, and I love their inability to socialize on land, their ability to handle a fair amount of alcohol, but it's not. You didn't say to yourself in your 6th grade class, "Oh, I want to be a commercial fisherman." Right. It's a vocation. This is a vocation. This is a 34-year get rich quick scheme. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I love that. And people, like I said, I don't listen. We talked a little earlier about like wanting people to cook. Yeah. So in my tenure, I've written over 2,000 recipes. Okay. And that's how we started the Instagram page. Gotcha. So we started it beforehand. Right. Yeah. Of course. And then.
But the content, I'm sure, has.
Well, we went from 3,800 to we just broke 83,000. Yeah. And listen, my mission is so in my writings, I write a newsletter. It goes out to over 10,000 people twice a week. And I write my psychotic diatribes and sexual innuendos. Of course. And, actually my best email was from this woman, and I remember it was around the anniversary of Woodstock, and in my bloviated state, I was writing about the challenging rhythmic of middle-aged white men or whatever, and it had plenty of sexual. And she wrote back that sometimes children can be reading this,
Right.
And I'm like, I hate to break the news to you, but your grandson's a failure, ma'am. You know what I mean? But again, you either dig it or you don't. So I started writing these recipes. Obviously, not just writing them.
Yeah.
Putting them together, and it's a mishmash and whatever the inspiration was at the time. And the only original recipe in the history of the world. You know what that is?
I don't know.
It's peanut butter and jelly.
Okay.
And that's it. And everything else has been begged, borrowed, stolen, bastardized. And that, I just want people to cook.
Right.
I want them to go home and not be intimidated.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I did want to touch on also is the way that you do run the store now. Obviously, there's probably more frills than you said when you opened up the store back in '88. And by frills, I mean all the extra stuff that you have in here and having stuff that people can take out and eat.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But being that you've basically been doing it for 34 years with your own shop, but since the age of 15, you're probably 35, I would say, but somewhere in there. But doing it like that, just rooted in kind of just an old school method. Is that kind of
you can't do it any more old school than we do it,
right?
And that's the only way I know how to do it.
Yeah. So that's what I think is so cool about this place is that it has the fish counter, which is just to me seems like a fish counter that I would go to when I was a kid.
Right.
Which you don't always see in supermarkets
without the smell.
Right, without the smell. But then all the other stuff around it and all the other we talked about the brewery before and all the things that you can do with the takeout and whatever. I think all of that is an old school with all these extra things added onto it to make it that much cooler of just we're doing a episode right now about a fish market.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, it's just because I said, it's just so fantastic to me when I see a client, come in and report back man, I used to write recipes on bags.
Yeah.
And some people, and I used to joke, I said, let me autograph it just in case I become famous. And you can maybe, in the divorce settlement, you can maybe sell that on eBay. And I loved just educating people. And then you could see that all of a sudden they got that, sometimes they even come back with that Panther, swagger in the kitchen. And they're and they knock the shit out of it. And listen, of all the recipes I've written, and I've done cooking classes and by the way, let's make it very clear, I'm not a chef.
Right.
I have no chef training. I was just a chubby kid that wanted to have something really special to eat. Is that I want people to learn a technique. So if it's a pan sear, if it's an oven roast, if it's a saute, if it's a fry, I want them to learn the technique and then go play.
Yeah.
Just go nuts.
Right.
So you don't like cilantro? Don't put it in. You like, McDonald's special sauce on your fish and chips? Have at it. Just whatever makes you delightful. Hence the term little chef.
Yeah.
So I'm not a chef. So little chef is to me is the person in a household or in a group of friends who just gets totally jazzed and slightly, I shouldn't say slightly, but has very direct voyeuristic feelings about watching other people eat their food.
Yeah.
And that's just a great feeling. And those people exist, and they're the ones who, they're the ones who make our business.
Yeah.
And we've been so fortunate that there's a lot of little chefs out there who want to make their family happy or, again, legs under the table. So for me, if you said to me, Mark, I made that dish. I made the rock shrimp fritters, the video. Great.
Which you posted today, right?
Yes, I posted today. So if you said, Mark, the legs were under the table, and on top of that, halfway through the spicy tartar sauce, my girlfriend and I started playing footsie. I'm like, mission accomplished. I'm done.
Right.
And if anything was more descriptive after that, you DM me. Don't put that on. Don't put it public. But I want it very descriptive.
Yeah.
I'm an old school guy. I used to read magazines. Right. But yeah, like I said, so again, the old ways of doing things are truly the best.
Right.
And they're more expensive. There's no question about it.
Yeah.
You could just shipping something whole, you're paying for the freight of that whole fish as opposed to a fillet, even though there's a slight upcharge to get something filleted. But again, I want you to be able to, listen, here's a perfect example. What is sushi grade? Sushi grade is a marketing term. There is no stamp of approval. There is no governing board that determines if something is sushi grade.
Yeah.
Sushi grade, when you come into our store, is a covenant that we enter into. That we tell you that fish is you're able to eat it raw or barely cooked. That's it.
Yeah.
So you want to know how fresh fish is? Get into a relationship with your fishmonger. I don't care where you fish.
Right.
And like I said, like most relationships, you might have to go through a few fishmongers.
Yeah.
But once you get that rhythm, because you really don't know if someone always has a particular fish all the time, chances are it's not. It's been frozen.
Sure.
Nothing wrong with frozen fish. I mean, we don't happen to sell it for our fin fish. But my point is, you can't have everything all the time.
Yeah.
So when you come to buy fish, don't think of necessarily a particular fish that you want to buy. Think of, I want to have seafood tonight.
Yeah.
Let me see what delights me.
And so if somebody does come in here and they're like, I don't know exactly what I want, but I know I want, this is some things that I like. So, you don't have it, obviously if you're sitting there.
So we walk them through their likes and dislikes.
Right.
Like, I love, sardines.
Yeah.
Okay, they're gamers. You know what I mean? Come on. Let's stop. Come over the house. We're eating together. It's going to be nice.
Yeah.
I only like flounder. Fine. So, by the way, flounder, hake, cod, I love to put a spotlight on underutilized species.
Yeah.
There's a species of fish that most people catch when they're on a head boat, it's called a sea robin. Okay. It's got very little meat on the sides. By the way, in Europe it's called gournard. Okay. It's brilliant. There's not a lot of meat on the fish.
Yeah.
But by the way, if someone ever says junk fish or garbage fish, don't stand close to me because I'll knock a tooth out of your mouth. Every fish caught is a gift.
Yeah.
It's a gift. Someone went out. And listen, I'm not suggesting people, go home and try to take apart a puffer fish unless their husband or wife's insurance policy is fully paid off. But what I want them to do is, we're not asking them to break it down. Try the other things.
Yeah. Based
on our suggestions, and we'll hit it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And do you like it? You like it more well done? And listen, a lot of times clients will come and they go, and you can see they're giving us like the third degree,
sure.
which I love.
Yeah.
And I go, you eat raw fish? And my guys will just start cutting off little pieces of raw fish. And next thing I know, I have them eating out of my hand and and I'm just drizzling soy sauce down their cheeks. I'm just joking.
Let's do that after.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Sounds great.
No, 100%. Yeah. Absolutely. But if that explains why we do and how we do it, is because, like I said, our clients, they expect it.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what I feel comfortable giving them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and you're not going to last even 2 years if you're always apologizing. You never apologize for what, that's my job to know.
Right.
You talk
what's
about,
good, what's,
How about mislabeling fish?
Yeah.
That infuriates me, and it infuriates me because they always put it on the industry. It's not the industry. It's someone at the end, either someone like a retailer or a restaurant deciding they're going to make a switch. They know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's another story.
Sure.
But, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I wish people wouldn't do that and whatever you're selling, let them know what it is.
Yeah.
It's great.
Definitely. I do want to talk about the little chef stuff a little bit more in this segment, so we got some more time in this one. Because a buddy of mine that lives in my town, that he mentioned the whole setup here with Sunken Silo and you guys and the oysters and all that kind of stuff, which is why we wanted to check it out. So then I started following the stuff on Instagram, and so my girlfriend went to culinary school. She's been a butcher by trade, all that kind of stuff. So she started watching some of those videos, and she's like, "We have to try this one. We have to try this one." We haven't tried anyone yet because we just haven't gotten seafood together yet. But I do want to talk a little bit about kind of how that started, why it started, and then obviously, like you said, the return or the reception of it was great. But talk to me a little bit just that experience of kind of putting a brand on it.
Yeah. So
because you're funky.
Yeah. So the thing is, when Instagram first kind of not when it kicked off, but when I got involved, I was talking with a friend of mine, and she was a published author and blah blah blah, and she goes, I said, how do I do this Instagram? She goes, well, start off with you got to come up with a kind of a zany name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, Funky Fishmonger. It was Funky _ Fishmonger, and then we got rid of the underscore, and that just kind of caught on.
Yeah.
And people have accused me of saying it's the effing fishmonger, whatever. But I mean, and again, it was just one of those things where it kind of caught on, and like I said, it's wildly gratifying. You've written all these recipes, and let's be honest, people don't necessarily get inspired. Listen, I have more cookbooks than I have scarves, and I have a lot of scarves.
I can
you know
tell.
what I mean?
Yeah,
But the thing is, you don't necessarily get inspired reading a cookbook. But if you can see it done in front of you, and see that it, listen, obviously the chopping has to be done and so on. But you go, you know what? I have those. And by the way, I make no apologies for taking a Greek dish and adding quote unquote Italian ingredients, or an Asian dish, and if I don't have Thai chilies, I'll use a Calabrian chili. I want that. That's what we're all about. This mixed can of nuts. Yeah. I want it to be accessible.
Right.
I don't want you to have a panic attack. When I was a kid, I'd watch Julia Childs, and you're like, oh, and I did watch Julia Childs when I was a kid. But anyway, so all of a sudden, I can make that. And all of a sudden, she wheels out an $80,000 duck press. Yeah. You know what I mean? Or she tells you that the key ingredient is goose penis. And I'm like, where do I get goose penis? I don't know where I get it.
To a store and ask about that.
Right. Yeah. Hey, you guys, you watch the Julia Child episode? Kid, you're not going to really amount to anything. But anyway, again, accessibility. Yeah. So if you don't have kaffir lemon leaves, just use lime zest. If you don't have lemongrass, just a little lemon zest is fine. You're getting the notes.
Right.
So I want you to lean into cooking and getting it done, and not having a list that that resembles some sort of a scavenger hunt.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like you have to crack this goddamn code.
I can cook like a little bit. Like I'm a big barbecue guy. Like I have a smoker. I do all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And like to me, that's very easy. Like you season it, you put it in there, you don't touch it for like a few hours, and then it should be good.
Right.
When it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
But like when I start looking at recipes where it has like 25 steps and like all these different ingredients, like my head starts to spin. I'm like, you know what? Like this is not for me. So it's not accessible.
Right. So if any of my recipes are long, it's because it's a complete meal.
Right.
So that's the only reason it would be long.
Yeah, for sure.
So for example, we're doing. I'm Lebanese. I'm half Lebanese. So it's called the Habibi fish fry.
Okay.
With pita chips and like a Lebanese cabbage salad, and you fry the fish, then you fry the pita bread triangles, then you make this cabbage salad, and taratora, the tahini sauce for like falafel.
Yeah.
So now you rip a piece of fish off with the cabbage, the falafel sauce, and then everyone's face is a fantastic mess of grease. And if you're not having a good time right there,
something's wrong with you.
Please, just do me a favor, run into traffic. But I mean, I just, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want people to enjoy the hell out of it, and just not be surprised. But I want them to be surprised how easy it was.
Yeah.
But getting going on, like I said, I have to do a shout out to Jackson Geeson, who started working for me he's over there. But anyway, but Jack started working for me in the fish room, and he is a wildly talented artist. And then we just started clicking together. And, we just looked, and, the majority of his responsibilities now are helping me, proselytize these recipes to the world. Yeah. And like I said, legs under the table.
Right.
Get people eating, get someone giving someone extra tussle on the head, and you could put that in any context you want, because you made something really delicious. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, more than 25 ingredients. Yes, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it from start to finish.
Sure. Yeah.
Because I love reading cookbooks.
Right.
But chances are, after the third cocktail, what was that step?
I just started throwing shit
I don't know what the step was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's. I think it's going to be put a top on that now. Right. You know what I mean? But hopefully it comes out good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's...
Well, but I just think I think it's great because, like I said, that's honestly why I'm here. Is because, like,
Thank you.
I saw
Sincerely.
the content stuff.
No,
obviously,
I really... Listen, I honestly, I can't tell you how much that means to me.
Yeah, right.
Because we're not trying to be Instagram famous.
Yeah.
I just want people to eat more fish.
Right.
And cook at home.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's,
So, you know what I
you're
mean?
doing
So,
a great job of that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to take our second break of this episode, our last break of this episode. We're going to get back into our community segment when we come back for the third segment coming up.
Yeah.
So this is the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Cam. We're here in Lebanon, New Jersey at Metropolitan Seafood with Mark Drabich. We'll be right back. Voted one of the top 100 jazz clubs in the world, Shanghai Jazz in Madison, New Jersey has been entertaining its customers for almost 30 years with world-class live music, great food, and a commitment to hospitality that creates an exceptional atmosphere. Plus, if you're in the mood for a creative cocktail and incredible vibe, be sure to check out Encore Speakeasy, located downstairs in Shanghai Jazz. As one of my favorite restaurants in the area, I personally guarantee you will have a great experience. Check out the music schedule, the menu, or to make a reservation, head to shanghaijazz.com. All right, we're back for our third and final segment of this episode of Greetings from the Garden State. I'm Mike Ham. We're here at Metropolitan Seafood in Lebanon, New Jersey with Mark Drabich, the Funky Fishmonger. So first segment, we learned all about you. Second segment, we learned more about you and what goes on here at Metropolitan Seafood and all these different things that we've kind of learned about. We were talking a little bit about the Instagram page, like the Funky Fishmonger, what you do on those, the little chef stuff. But we mentioned off mic, and I do want to make sure we get it on there, that you have like another content-related thing coming up soon.
Yeah. So we're going to start... Funky Fishmonger. We haven't even named it yet, but Funky Fishmonger at sea, or our first episode. We're going out on a oyster boat. For the day, and this particular gentleman, he's a farmer, a land farmer, and he also farms the bay for oysters, and we're going to break the whole thing down and what exactly it takes, even a farm product to bring it to the table. And then we're also going to cook on the beach and do our cooking videos, and we'll promote the living hell out of it. And as if you follow us on Metropolitan Seafood or Funky Fishmonger, you'll see it. But it's we have 2 trips booked in Maine. And we're just going to take these guys, and I'm just going to probably hug them inappropriately. I'll know when I've hugged them long enough, and when I get maybe a hot shiv in the side, or I get someone lean into me and go, just breathe into it. But yeah, no, we're looking forward to it, because I do want to pay, homage, if you will, to these folks that allow me to do my gig. Right.
So I feel like people would love to see kind of like, most people don't know kind of where their food comes from, essentially, and kind of like what that process looks like.
And we're not doing deadliest catch. If I fall off the boat, it's because I was drinking. You know what I mean? Like, and it's only in the bay.
If you need anybody to come on these trips, I'll drink with you. That's totally fine.
It's 6 foot deep in the bay. I'll be fine. But that's one of the things we do, and it'll be on YouTube, and we'll promote it on Instagram and our newsletter, with all that stuff.
So, awesome. Well, I can't wait for that. I'm definitely going to be a watcher. So the third segment we normally do for these episodes is personally my favorite segment, because it's our community segment. And just the way that, because we're having people from Jersey on this show. And the way that we interact with our communities, to me, is very important. So you had mentioned to me off mic prior to that the community, of this area has been so supportive of you, and if you wanted to talk about that.
It's crazy. I mean, from the moment that we started, I don't know how lucky, we got that the folks just were able, like I said, when you opened if you opened in the late 80s, early 90s, you had an idea, and people would just say like, hey, would you mind bringing in Bronzino? I'm not talking about today. I'm talking about back in the day. And you had to really, and I'm like, well, how much do I have to buy? I go, 1 fish. And I always figured that if one person wanted it, other people would want it that didn't even ask for it. And then, we started slicing our own smoked fish, and we started smoking our own fish. But the community was always behind us. And to that point, like, for example, you'll very rarely see us in any print advertising. So if you came in, you go, hey, we're doing not a tricky trade, but our booster magazine. It's it's $20. I said, listen, I'll give you $20 out of my pocket, but what I'd rather do is I'm going to give you a lobster dinner for 2. It's lobsters, clams, shrimp, oysters, Rockefeller, coleslaw, potato salad. You can get it cooked. You can get it however you want it. It's $100 value. Here's raffle tickets. Sell the raffle tickets, and you're going to make money, and you're going to make a lot more money than $20.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. And we give away, on average, about 20 of those a month. And again, how could I not? So any advertising budget that we've had, we just give back to the community that made us.
Yeah.
I mean, they are like literally. I did this thing recently for the tartan ball, or I forgot. It blurs now, but they asked me if I would give away a cooking lesson, like a dinner demo live, where 10 people are eating. We're cooking in real time. I've done these before.
Yeah.
I'm drinking with you. I'm smoking with you. Whatever. Whatever. We're rubbing each other, and it went for like $3,000. Someone bid on it for a wonderful organization.
Right.
And again, that's how we can give back.
Yeah.
We have and again, please forgive me. I'm not bragging. We do this do this twice a year. We call it the story of stone soup, right? The fable where the pot and the guy says, "What are you making? Stone soup?" And then each person comes, "Well, I'm going to throw some carrots down there." And by the time they're done, it becomes a soup of the community.
Right.
So we started with this concept, and we have the Flemington Area Food Pantry, and we do it twice a year, and we make this fish chowder, where 100% of the proceeds goes to the Flemington Food Pantry. So whatever it is, we'll call it a red fish chowder, not red fish as in the fish, but tomato based with the potatoes and carrots and snapper and cod and it's all in there.
Yeah.
And people we were able to deliver checks $3,000-$4,000 to the Flemington Food Pantry, and all we had to do was a labor. Forget about the cost of the product. We just had to make the soup and pack it out.
Right.
And people, by the way, they weren't just buying the soup and knowing that 100% of the proceeds were going to the food pantry. They're saying, "How much is the soup?" It's like, whatever it was, $15. They go, "Listen, here's $40. Give me a quart of soup."
Yeah.
And on top of it, we give, what did we give? I think like 40 quarts to the food pantry. I want the people to eat it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So it's, and again, listen, I got a lot of, running a business day to day and blah, 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 all that, whatever those stresses may be, it is just, you can get fantastically out of your head by just letting the community take care of you and you take care of the community.
Yeah.
So these people, and then we were in Clinton, like I said, for 23 years. Now we've been in Lebanon for 13 years. I mean, Lebanon borough. Let me make that very clear. Anyone who's from Jersey. If you want to open a business and you want the most business-friendly community, I mean, they can't do enough for it. They see you're trying to employ 15 or more people. You're doing all these things. They want you to succeed.
Yeah.
I mean, and I don't know. I know some towns are difficult, but listen, this community that has done nothing less than just shower us, not only with patronage but just kindness. I mean, my guys will tell you, and the women, hey, do you want to go to a Giants game? I mean, they're constantly giving.
Yeah.
I had a monitor at one point where I said to my staff, "Listen, if someone gives you something, just tell me, just so I can thank them."
Yeah.
And that's it. I'm not. I just want to thank them.
Right.
I mean, but listen, I don't want to. If I say anything else, you said that's bullshit, Mark. It's not. I mean, people have gotten vacation, like weeks in a vacation home.
Yeah.
But that's what they want. They want to take care of us because they feel like, we're taking care of them, which I hope they do.
Yeah.
Because that's all I want. No one really remembers what they had, but they know how they felt.
Exactly.
When they were there.
Yeah, like the experience they have when they come in here and all that kind of stuff.
It's, if you haven't reread Setting the Table, what is that Danny Meyer book? If you haven't reread that 4 times and you're in the food business, shame on you.
Yeah.
It's there, and they could twist it every which way they want it. But I get a little bored sometimes with other fellow small businesses. When I say bored, again, just stop complaining. Just take care of your clients. Makes the day go faster.
Yeah.
You might even get a tickle at it yourself. And I would much rather, and I love Oh, God, when they got the stone face on and I can crack them with a smile. Oh, you're too young to remember there was a show called Kung Fu where David Carradine had to walk across the rice paper without making a mark before he could leave the dojo. And I'm sure I'm saying everything wrong, but I don't care. I mean, my God, I feel like a black belt, sensei. Yeah. It's great. You infected them with a random act of kindness.
Right.
Like I said before, we don't sell lemons.
Yeah.
Never sold a lemon. And just who doesn't like to get something free?
Yeah.
At the end.
Love free stuff.
People go, hey, how many lemons? Like, I don't know. Are you going to get nutty about it? Like, do you need a case? Because if you're calling me out, I'm going to have to give you a case.
Yeah.
We're recording this, Mark. God damn it, you're going to get a case of lemons. But yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's real fun.
Yeah, and I think that also, and you had mentioned this earlier, I think probably in the first segment, but just about like the staff. Like when I walked in here, I mean, obviously I did the whole day here with my girlfriend the one time, but even just now, like I just walked in and everyone was like, you need something? Like, oh, you're the podcast. Like, everyone just was just like on it, and it's just like having a staff like that makes that experience that much better.
And by the way, they talk about all the time about how hard it is to find workers and so on and so forth. Listen, again, I said it earlier. I love the fact that we're able to bring back the profession of a fishmonger, and people want, they all want to do well. I mean, it's again, you could sometimes as a business, you could fall into that horrible cliche of things like the customer's always right. Of course, they're always right, but my God, they're not just right; they have a right to be treated decently.
Yeah,
and why not? And by the way, and if you do, you as I'm waiting on someone. If you're going to make your day as miserable as possible, get ready for a nice long day. But the shit goes by quite swiftly.
Yeah.
When you're literally having a good time with a client. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But that's how we do it. So.
No, I love it, and I think it's great. This episode has been great. But before we wrap it up, I do want to make sure that we give people a chance to know, like, where can they go to learn more, see the stuff that we're talking about. Obviously, we mentioned the Instagram handle before.
Yeah.
And even just like when they come in here, what do you do? I
mean, listen, just come in, ask us a lot of questions because it's the only thing that we know, so it makes us feel important as hell.
Right.
But just come in and let us, listen, if you know exactly what you want. By the way, if you want anything unusual, by all means, call in advance. Call the store. It's metroseafood.com. I used to own metropolitanseafood.com, but I realized people can't spell. So I just got rid of it. So it's just metroseafood.com. But like I said, come have fun. Taste oysters, taste raw fish, taste the local cheeses. We don't have a Gruyere, so if you want something, just come in with a glass of wine and beat me out of a pound of cheese. I'll be delighted. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's have takeout, whatever you want. Have a beer next door. Our beautiful friends at Sunken Silo Brewery. These guys are brilliant, and they have such a fantastic restraint on the process of their beers. I mean, listen, there's some IPAs that you literally... You want to file a police report and take a shower afterwards. I mean, they're aggressive. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. How is that? It's hoppy.
Yeah, right.
Someone hold me. These guys really do a phenomenal job, and I'm really proud to have them as my neighbors. And the only bad part about it is they have Fishy Yoda giving them retail advice all the time, and I feel bad for them in that respect.
Yeah.
But again, they wouldn't be here if I didn't love them because I'm super proud and I'm brand loyal as hell. I mean, these guys, I have their beer on tap at my house.
Love it.
As a matter of fact, I have their stout right now.
Okay.
On nitro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Life does not suck.
Yeah. It sounds great.
Yeah. But the only bad part about it is you never really know how much you had because you never wait till the end. You keep topping it off. So.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So so it's
either half full or full.
Yeah, and that's why I'm never going to be thin. So exactly.
I feel that too. But this has been great. I really appreciate you jumping on with me and having me in the store and all that kind of stuff. And I can't wait to come back and do more things around here. So I'll make sure that I put the links, everything that you just said, the Instagram handles, the website, all in the show notes, as well as the address, so that if they just want to look at that,
of course.
they can go there.
Absolutely.
So they could just click it, check it out, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But thank you so much.
It's my pleasure.
I appreciate it.
Sincerely, really my pleasure.
Absolutely.
Thanks for coming out to the country.
Oh, of course.
All right.
I always love coming out to the country.
Thank you, brother.
So this has been the Greetings from the Garden State podcast. I'm Mike Ham. We were here today at Metropolitan Seafood in Lebanon, New Jersey with Mark Drabich. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you next time.